Here is a little note that I jot down because I thought this is interesting and important. I don't know if I can capture the essence because it's a few hours ago, but let me try. Lords of universe manifesting everywhere. As human being, we got this brain which makes us to be very unique in this universe. If you think about who I am and this little tiny thing on earth, and think of the huge universe of billions of galaxies and so forth, I'm just nothing. But there's something important, this nothingness I am in the universe is that this tiny bit of molecules put together and the neurons firing can think and we can even communicate. That's amazing that we can do it across YouTube, whatever. It could be just our delusion or image, and the reality is not just that, but something else. And that's also something I want to talk about because the mind creates the universe, a space that we play with, like a simulating of the idea. But besides that, or behind that, is the laws of universe manifesting. And there's a gap in between because it's a two different, the paradoxical state, and therefore to connect or bridge the gap is like from the dream state of our mind into the awakened state. So it's awakening, it's enlightenment. And what happened is that you are not deluded as much. When I say as much, because we still think, and that's part of who we are, and we get deluded because the thinking brings us to some weird way of looking at the world. So we have to recollect, like putting the glasses that you see things clearly. But left alone, our brains can malfunction just like AI, go through the hallucination. And that's the illusion. And how do we have the glasses, the right glasses, or take off the filter out of our eyes so that we see things and realize that we also are the miracle manifesting in this tiny bit of molecules. And we're going to live and die. But so unique that we are is that we can even think like that and realize that we are tiny, which can make us to be depressed. But we can, on the other hand, be appreciative to the fact that out of nothingness, out of those huge galaxies and all that, we are here. And we can recognize that. We can be awakened to see how the miracle is manifesting to create us, to create all the things happening. The clouds, sky, trees, bird, fish, and millions of the living beings on Earth we are still discovering, and maybe discovering in Mars, Venus, and other planets. But we are unique in the sense that we know we can recognize when we are awakened instead of deluded and think just swimming in the turbulent water and getting lost. That's what I see. So the number one point here is that there's miracles. Everything. Tiny insect moving around, be able to do that. So far, no robots can make that happen because they are alive. How can you make things alive? You can play with the DNA and do something about it, but the nature does it on its own. That's laws of nature manifesting in living being. And all the living beings of all, we are aware that we can be aware. So Garden of Eden, I often talk about, that's great, but you don't know you're aware, although you're aware. So to be deluded, then you get to be awakened. So that's the prerogative of a human being. And when we have that, that's just amazing that this world is the magic. And we talk about heaven and Pure Land, not thinking after death, it's right here. When our ego dies, when our thinking fades away, and like clouds in the sky, the puffs that move away, then you have it. Maybe very briefly, in this tiny space on the earth, of all the millions of zillions of galaxies, you exist and appreciate the magic. So that's about awakening, Satori, enlightenment. So with that, the world looks different. The fading away of thought, becoming aware of and appreciative of the magic happening, including us being the magic, and to know that there's some meaning that we may have as human to be like this possibility, Buddha nature manifesting and realizing, and to know the universe, and to know who we are. And accordingly, there's appreciation, even some sort of mission to live, instead of being deluded, suffering. We are the only one, probably, that can go through suffering, inferno. What's his name? Carl Jung said about something about inferno. I don't remember all the phrase there. But through inferno, you pass through it. Then you find this awakening. To kill the ego is not easy. The ego is everything for most of the people in their mind. But that has a twisted, biased view, self-centeredness, narrow-mindedness, but not looking all the angles and be biased. But we are prerogative, we got the prerogative of passing through that, to go to the other side, like the other shore that Buddha talked about. Let's leave it there.